Welcome to Protea Weekly. My name is Zane Stevens, and I am joined by Megan. Megan, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Megan Nelms. I'm a senior account manager and technology lead.
Megan, good to see you, and sorry
Nice
that we
to meet you.
are 11 minutes late due to my technical issues. Still haven't
No
got them
worries.
figured out, but we made a plan and get going. But excited to have you on today.
Thank you.
We are going to be talking Intuit Connect.
Yep.
So the last week of October, both myself and Megan headed over to Vegas, and we spent a bit of time connecting with other accountants, trying to learn a little bit, and definitely in Megan's case, having way too much fun.
I tried.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a good time while you were there.
Yes, it was very nice to meet a lot of new people and chat with them.
Yeah, that's always good. I mean, as it's in the title, connect. That's what a big part of it is creating connections. You and I obviously experienced the conference slightly differently. I went in basically for, I don't know, less than 48 hours.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, arrived on the Monday afternoon after a delayed flight, so a little bit later than I wanted to. Spent the full Tuesday there and then flew out early on the Wednesday. Your trip was a bit longer?
Yep, I left midday on Sunday, and then I stayed through the end of the conference on Wednesday and was home right before Halloween.
Okay, great. First year with a new name. So this used to be called QuickBooks Connect, and now it is Intuit Connect. You don't have any real experience on what it was like before. So,
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought the differences were. You were there last year.
well, one, that was QuickBooks Connect all green, where Intuit Connect was all blue. So just from that standpoint, a significantly different look.
Mm.
And I would say a very, very different feel. I think it went from a very community feel to a little bit more corporate-y out there. It definitely felt a little bit more corporate. I mean, there was still that community feel, but that's more, I think, was created more by the people than the event itself. I mean, just like little things like last year, they're like, go get your free swag. This year, they're like, go buy some of our Intuit swag, right? Like, that was quite a big, different take. And they've always had their other products that they sort of sell. Well, at QuickBooks Connect and a lot of sessions on like how you can use these different platforms, but where now obviously it was right in your face. This is Intuit. These are our platforms. They all work together. We're not just selling you QuickBooks anymore. We're selling you everything, and we'd love you to use all of our tools. So a big change in, maybe not even a change in the messaging, but the approach of the messaging changed significantly as well. What was your overall impression of the conference? Just like, first time experience. What is that like main feeling, those emotions towards the conference?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I've never been to a conference that large before. I've been to plenty of conferences, but nothing to that scale. So
Yep.
You and I prepped quite a bit before we went, but I don't think anything prepared me just for the sheer size of it and the amount of people. But overall, my feelings of it were, I learned a lot. I got to meet a lot of people. So it was a very, very positive experience for me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big changes, that they definitely extended the conference out and they took up more space. So assuming with Intuit being there, there's just a little bit more buying power. So they took up a little bit more of the hotel than they did in previous years. Everything was sort of on that lower level, first level and top level, where now there was a bunch of, the registration was further away. There was some breakout rooms. And I really liked that from the standpoint that there was never this major congestion. But I also didn't like it because there was never that major congestion where you had the opportunity to bump into people,
Yeah, only at the major keynote presentation where everywhere else was, people were spaced out.
Yeah, so it made you work just a little bit harder to meet people, and be a little bit more like precise and like, I need to go find this person that I really want to meet with, or reach out to them and be like, let's just find what session you're going to, let me talk to you, like we'll just bump into each other, which is obviously not my strong point. I just relied on pure chance of seeing people.
A lot of people talk to you too, and so no one knows who I am. I have to go in and be like, hello.
Yeah, which, I mean, is a little weird when people come up to me. I'm still not quite used to that. Even if it is people I know and I like, I'm still like, people talking to me. I got to run away from that. Where obviously you're a lot more comfortable with, going up and meeting people. So I think it worked out well in terms of balance of personalities at the event.
Yeah. And you say that I'm comfortable with it. I really do. I have to tell myself to be brave. Like, just go do it. My natural instinct is also to, hide in the corner, but I just do it anyway.
Use the words more comfortable. I didn't, not necessarily absolutely comfortable. But let's start. Let's get into it a little bit. And a lot of this is I want you to carry on talking, say much more, because my experience was a lot shorter. So we're really going to get the impression of Megan as we go into this. But let's start with, what was the goal that I set you when you're going there? Like, in your mind, what was the expectation of you attending Intuit Connect?
You and I really talked about continuing our search for new technologies, whether internal or client-facing, new solutions, very specific technologies. So going in with a plan to see all the vendors that are there, having live demos and all those types of things. And then the other thing was to meet people. And the last objective was to select breakout sessions that really spoke to what I am doing, which is, technology implementations and learning about change management and things like that.
Okay, so to spend some time on the technology side, do you think you're able to achieve that goal? Did the exhibit hall sort of meet those expectations?
I think that a piece of it, I think there's going to be some significant follow-up, which is expected, but for the technology that you and I have discussed and are interested, there's going to be follow-up demos and there's going to be more correspondence about that. There's just no way at a conference in a huge room full of people trying to be able to, think of all the questions that you have, how this would work for Protea and how it would work for our clients. There's just no way to do that. So I would say a piece of it there. And then for the breakout sessions, I was able to learn a lot from those. When they have a bunch of breakout sessions, because you can't space them all out, there's just not enough time. There was one time in the schedule that you and I, there was like 4 of them that we wanted to attend. So I would say for the most part, yes, because I selected breakout groups that really spoke to what I'm interested in, what we're trying to accomplish at Protea, and then you were able to supplement with breakout groups you went to.
Yeah. With the technology focus in the exhibit hall, I mean, obviously there were some key partners that were missing from it. You're not an Intuit, provider if you're not an Intuit product, or you basically got in the hall if you weren't a direct competitor with Intuit and you were more a supplemental piece. But for the ones that were there, obviously some of our good partners were there. I spent a little bit of time with Reach Reporting specifically. Always great to catch up with Arthur and spend some time with him and spend my couple of crazy ideas that I had with him and not stress you and Lauren out about it. So that was fun. Did you have any opportunities like that to talk to some of our partners?
Yes, I talked to Reach Reporting as well. I think you got a little bit more time than I did. But I also spoke with Carbon. I spoke to a bunch of different people there. I shared my passion for Carbon that I have. I also stopped by Right Tool with Mark, and so yeah, I was able to do that as well.
Yeah, did spend some time with Right Tool, but not really talking about the tool, just catching up. Mark and Jessica were also awesome.
I was able to see a little bit of a demo that he was giving to some other people, so I was able to see him present.
Yeah, he was, felt like all the time. So I sat, stood chatting to Jessica and then caught him on his way back from the restroom the one day, and that was the time that we could get the conversation. But that's really good to see your partners really busy. We obviously feel very good about the partners we've chosen, but when they're really busy, it also gives me yeah, that's probably the right choice. There's nothing worse of finding a partner and they're just the whole week just standing there.
The quiet corner.
Yeah. So that's.
I don't mean to change topics, but you mentioned catching him coming back from the restroom. That is something back to networking. Like, there's times where you only have a couple of seconds, and even the person maybe only has a minute or two. But taking that opportunity to just say, hey, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a key example. I was just headed, I to somewhere else, and I had a little bit of time. I actually might have just been going to my room to get some, a little bit of peace and quiet. But I saw him, and I just sort of turned with him, and I walked with him, and it took 5 minutes to walk back to his station, and we just caught up. Saw how he's doing. How the session's going, how they're feeling about the product. I spoke a little bit about being on the floor, especially for a tool that sort of wouldn't they really expect would be able to get a space, because they sort of like, these are things that you guys can't do, we're fixing. So I said, enjoy your 1 year before you're kicked off the floor as well. He laughed at that. He's like, probably. But obviously, him with Hector Garcia has obviously got a great relationship with Intuit. So maybe they'll get a little bit further out of it. Anything new on the floor that you saw that you were really excited about?
That is a good question. I would say the increase in inventory management providers. Mm-hmm. So I still have yet to find my preferred vendor, but I was excited to see that there was multiple choices on the floor. I spoke to 3 specifically while I was there, so I was excited about that. That's something specifically for the wine industry that really could use improvement. Mm-hmm. So I was excited to speak to them, see what they have to offer, and discuss the nuances of the wine industry with them.
Yeah, that was interesting to see. They definitely seem to be represented on the floor, which does make me a little bit nervous that Intuit is probably not going to make too many further advancements on their side on inventory, or not. Definitely not anywhere near the top of the list, which surprises me, especially with the release of their new middle market platform, the effectively advanced ERP system that allow you to easily move from QuickBooks Online into the new system. What is it called? Like QuickBooks Intuit?
QuickBooks Enterprise Suite. And
Enterprise Suite.
The takeaway that I had from that is right now, especially with this first rollout, is they're focusing on construction and job costing, which there is overlap with like the way to approach manufacturing and job costing. So I hope one day, but it seems like their focus on that right now is more construction based. Intuit Enterprise Suite, they said that they're trying to bridge the gap between small business, which is what you and I think of as QuickBooks Online, and the larger ERP system. So they're trying to fill that gap.
Yeah, which I'm excited about, because I do think a lot of times people move to ERP systems way too quickly.
Yeah, and it's very expensive.
Very expensive and very sticky once you're in it. And a lot of the time they're just not ready. And maybe even not like the business is ready, but like mentally they're just not ready for that conversion process that needs to take place. So that can be really painful.
Or even if once they do implement it, they're not using it in the way that it's intended for.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the one exciting part about the launch video of the Enterprise Suite is that there was a winemaker in it.
But there was a picture, yes.
Yeah. So like they're at least thinking about inventory and wineries and everything else that goes into it. So, there's some hope, but that there were 15 inventory providers on that floor. So that for me just tells me it's on the list, but it's probably far down the list. They just, they're probably, I guess is that they're like, oh, well, I don't really want to compete with NetSuite and then everybody else at the moment. They're so far advanced from us. Let's focus on the other industries where we can get the quick wins, where they're fast growing and the conversion will be pretty quick. And probably where a lot of their pro advisors are spending a lot of their time. There's not a ton of, I went to an Intuit event on the Tuesday night, spoke to 20 people, and there were 2 of us that do anything with inventory. The rest are like, we run away from inventory. So if you take that as a representation, 2 out of 20, 10% of people maybe deal with inventory. And even the person that was dealing with, I was speaking to, she doesn't really do manufacturing inventory.
Okay.
Yeah, some light manufacturing, but it's not a full manufacturing process. So the full manufacturing that we have, I just can't see it being a very high priority, because it's probably not going to be a money generator anytime soon for them.
Yeah, and too with the very SKU specific rather than traditional manufacturing. And anyways, but still, my hope in the future, one day. Yeah,
well, let's spend some time on the breakout sessions. Maybe once the loud noises in the background go away.
Fire engines go by.
Who knows? But breakout sessions, how were those? Did you enjoy going to them? What was your favorite breakout session?
I did enjoy going to them. Overall, my favorite presentations were the panel discussions where there is, multiple viewpoints. So I really liked those. The one that was a single presentation that I probably did like the best was by Randy Crabtree. It was called Beyond the Numbers, Building a People First Culture for Sustainable Growth. But what he was really focusing on was building this culture where by doing that, it inherently improves your business and then therefore allows for growth. So he's a very good speaker. I was very intrigued. He knew a lot of people in the breakout room, so it was a very casual kind of conversation. So that was my favorite one. But I liked, there was a panel discussion about hiring and developing and retaining people. That one talked about, globalized workforce, which you and I deal with our team in South Africa. So that was really nice to talk about. And then I really enjoyed the panel discussion about change management as well. I walked away from that one thinking, I don't hate change like most accountants, but I do know that change is hard and needs to be done for the right reasons. And it's good to think about those before making any types of changes or improvements.
No, that is. I mean, Randy is a great speaker. He does like to call people out. I've been in a session where my name gets mentioned more than once, which is, it's okay, but it's also a little uncomfortable. And, when they're talking about culture first, I mean, they have a massive specialized tax business, and they basically have never had a resignation for, like, the wrong reason. Like, other than, like, he always mentions, like, he has to basically fire his brother. Everybody else, he's sort of gone smoothly.
When he was really transparent in the presentation he had, that he said just recently he did have a resignation that was a true resignation to move to a competitor. And he said, we have to do better. Like, we've got to figure that one out. We've got to work on it. And we've got to understand it. So that was also really nice to hear about, we've had this run and now there is something we've got to look at too. So it was good to hear about that.
I mean, yeah, one in 10 years, they're really struggling.
Yeah, it's still a pretty good run.
Yeah, incredible. And he is just a fantastic person, somebody that I admire a lot. And if you ever get to hear him speak, if he's talking about people first, or if he's talking about mental health, worth it. I mean, you'll probably be in tears if you go to his mental health sessions. His story is quite incredible, but worth, just taking the time. Just break it out. Even if you've got something else you need to go to, rather go listen to Randy first. You go to any of the main stage presentations?
I went with you to where they were talking about Enterprise Suite and the new advancements with their AI involved with bank feeds and things like that. The other ones with the surfer, I attended.
I missed sit by me?
The other one. So what?
You didn't come sit by me for that one? You just
I did not. I did not.
Not dealing with him.
No, I didn't know where you were. I was talking to somebody else. So
same spot I always sit.
Back corner. Yeah. That is something you and I are different. In the breakout sessions, I do sit up right front. It's part of it is just for my own, attention span and things like that. But I do like to sit right up there and focus.
I also like being in the back corner because I like to see how other people are reacting to the speakers as well. I like to just sort of see how people are doing it and seeing how the speakers adjust to the crowd. I find that intriguing, the sort of human behavior side of around it as well. Let's get to the important part, the things that everybody wants to hear about. Tell us about the parties.
Okay.
Tell us about the parties. You went to 60 of them in 3 days,
no,
right? So...
I did not. On Sunday night, I went to the pre-con event hosted by Ignition and co-hosted by Gusto. That was really awesome. I got to meet a lot of people. Everybody kind of prepping for the week ahead. And so that was awesome. I met Evan from Earmark. I met Roman Villar. Who else did I meet? I met a lot of Gusto reps there, which I ended up on the next night at Gusto dinner. Then you and I went to Connect Fest. You in a nightclub. You and I do not fit.
No, that was no fun. Just the process of getting in was enough for me. I was exhausted just getting to the elevator door.
It was a maze to get in there, but
And I mean, I also was like escorted, right? Like I had, you know, after everybody else came in, and we were escorted from another event in, so we sort of cut the line a little bit, and I was still exhausted. I couldn't, like, I saw how long the space was for the lines. I'm like, there were probably people that were standing in this 50-foot line waiting to get in.
I was a commoner and stood in the line to get in.
Oh, I would have seen the line and just carried on walking. There's no ways I would have gone in.
It actually wasn't too bad. It did move barely. It was fine, but.
Yeah. So, well, fun though.
The night lasted, I don't know how long for Connect Fest, not very long. We took off, we left.
Yeah, I took 20 minutes and then I needed to go get some water. I was done at that place.
And then I went to a couple other gatherings, during, not in the evening times. And those were really good as well. I attended one that was pretty quiet, but it did allow me to talk to somebody that I don't think I would have gotten that time anywhere else. And it was awesome to hear about their firm and what they're working on, and they use the same software we use, like hearing about those types of things. It was really awesome to just get that much undivided attention. It was really cool. So even more quiet events that are, not where you're trying to do all the networking and all those types of things, still be able to make those connections was really, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but they do add a lot of value. And getting out there and sort of meeting the people and talking to the people does make a difference. Mine was much quieter. Obviously, I was there for a short amount of time. I went to the JustWorks event, which was pretty nice. I went to the sort of launch event as well for Intuit Connect, which I stayed maybe 10 minutes, mostly because the food lines were too long, so I needed to go find food somewhere else. I did go to an Intuit hosted event, which was really nice. I got to be around all the accounting celebrities. So that was really cool. I was definitely with the cool kids. I'm still trying to figure out how I got an invite. But we'll solve that mystery one day. Went to Connect Fest, which I can't imagine I'd do that again. But I mean, I could have probably taken some deep breaths and sat in some corner. There were some people that I knew that had, gazebos outside and things like that, where it could have been a lot better. But I had had enough by that point. I was ready for my room. I had enough peopling for the rest of my life, not just that day. But it was really good. How do you feel about Intuit Connect in your experience?
Really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought the amount of opportunities presented in that small amount of time, condensed area, I have never experienced that. So it was very cool for me. And I tried to make the most of it. So I tried to attend as much as I could, soak in as much knowledge as I could. And I thought it was really, really, really great.
You going back next year?
Apparently. Yes, of course I am.
Great.
Are you going next year?
If they let me speak, I'll come. Else I'm
staying. Okay.
Yeah, that's the.
And you're coming for your speaking engagement, and then you're leaving.
I would probably make a little bit more effort than just appearing for my speaking, but we'll see how that goes. But I think overall, my takeaway: very well handled, very well organized. I do wish their app was 1,000 times better than it is. That for me would be the biggest takeaway. That was really poor. The food was in the main hall was fine for what you would expect from it. Maybe a little bit more vegetable variety would make me a little happier in that standpoint. But generally, I was pretty happy with that. And I think it was a good event. Especially with the rebranding from QuickBooks Connect to Intuit Connect. I think I would say that it was a big success.
Agreed.
Megan, thank you so much for joining me on Protea Weekly. And until next time, be kind. Goodbye.
Thanks.